Good.
All right.
Edmond Tarverdyan. Thank you so much for making the time. We were talking about how I met with George. Was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah. Something like that. And we talked about you, and we talked about the history of martial arts in Glendale and your contribution. And when I first moved to LA, like actually your gym, GFC on brand, was the first group class I taught. You know, when I first met you, you're like, oh, I don't know who you are. Like, you had trust, and then you found out, like, I was married to Armenian, and you're like, okay.
And fighting in the UFC,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you cornered me, and, a lot of, like...
Great times.
Yeah.
Great times.
And just one of the things that I appreciated about you is just the years of just helping others, in the Armenian community and fighters, different fighters, from boxing to Muay Thai to kickboxing, MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yes.
Of course, Ronda Rousey later on, but just the years before that, right?
Yes. What year was that, Alberto, the Roger Huerta fight?
Man, it was 2007.
2007.
Yeah, because my son was born in 2007, so I just moved out here. I wasn't sure. You went to New Mexico with me, remember that?
Yes, that was fun. We had a great time. I loved everything you had over there. The gyms, you showed me your gyms. We stayed, got good training in.
Yeah.
Very fun times.
Trying to figure out this the MMA thing. I had, I was in New Mexico, and we had like Greg Jackson, those guys, they had a good camp, good place, high altitude, right? Training.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah.
Great. The running, all in the mountains.
Yeah.
Blast. We had a blast. Great times. Times.
You were born in Armenia? Or?
Armenia. Yeah, Kirovakan, Armenia in 1981, and then moved to the States in 1989.
89. So you're like 8 years old.
Yeah, elementary and then high school, middle school and then high school. Graduated here and I was teaching already when I was in high school, so just no college. I just, kept on teaching.
How old were you when you first started teaching?
16 years old.
16,
yes. Long time already. It's like 26 years.
Yeah. And how did you start in martial arts?
So back at home, everybody did martial arts. In Armenia, they collected Bruce Lee pictures and just loved martial arts. So I did it a little bit. My uncles were in it a little bit. Soccer, boxing. My uncle was a good fighter from Iran, actually, and moved to Armenia. And, he loved boxing and wanted us to get into boxing, me and my older brother. Then when we came to the United States, just found a local gym. My cousin was going to, a local gym in Glendale and just started doing martial arts. Didn't really look into what style of martial arts I should do, anything. I just wanted to get, in there and just, learn the art. So I started with wushu, sansho. So it's, Chinese martial arts. And it was good because it's very difficult, and it's everything, like, you learn the philosophy of it, and it has acrobatics in it. Like wushu, like talu, the forms are so difficult because it's like gymnastics, basically. It's like a performing art. And the fighting style is like takedowns with boxing, Chinese boxing with takedowns.
Right.
So it's very good because you learn your hands, you learn how to kick. And like Zabit in MMA in the UFC, that of course retired, but he was a great fighter. And like Kung Lee and those guys, yes, Sancho, Sanda. So I started with that, then just got into everything, any type of art style there was. It was very easy after wushu to learn and adapt and compete, so competed in everything basically.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, well-rounded, striking arts, right?
Stand up. Yeah, it was very easy because you had the boxing. If I needed to just box, that was fine. Taekwondo, no problem. We could just kick, and then so everything just came natural. And wushu, like the time you put into it, it's like work and time. That's what it means. Like kung fu, work and time. The time you put into, you have to put in a lot of time. Like the karate kata is like the Japanese style. I adapt and learn very easy because the forms are so basic, step punch, going forward, going left, right. But wushu, you do one talu, like the form, chanchuan or nanchuan, like the southern style or the northern style. It's so much movement, jumping, flipping, acrobatics. So it was so much more challenging. And
like you're talking about katas. How do katas help you in fighting? What does it do?
So it's like basically it's like shadow boxing, right? In boxing, so you imagine the opponent is in front of you, and like a bonkai and a kata. Now it's of course it was an Olympic event in Japan, the karate katas, And the bonkai is when you show the technique of what you're really doing. So it's like a imaginary fight, but you have to understand what you're doing. So all those movements you do, and the more years you do it, you start understanding the feeling, of course, your body, and you know how to fight the person in front of you, behind you, left and right. So in a fight, in a street fight, if one person attacks, yeah, if you know grappling, it's very good because you could, defend yourself. It's an amazing martial arts. But multiple people attacking you, karate, I think, is the best self-defense for multiple. And karate and wushu, all these katas teach you. You're attacking the person in front of you. Somebody comes from behind you, turn, and you right away. You have to move. Somebody on the left, you kick. Somebody on the right, left comes, you kick. Right comes, you kick. Yeah. Behind comes, you kick. So as you learn to fight with multiple people, and that's what the kata is. But the good senseis or masters, whatever you want to call it, the people with experience teach you the kata, but the bonkai, which is the movement of you have to imagine and you have to perform like the block you do. The person's supposed to kick you, and you show that, so you understand what you're doing instead of just doing a kata. And then there's movements they do with their hands. Let's say some people think about it. They're like, "What is this person doing? Is he praying, or is it like a religion, or is it what's the purpose?" And back in the days when they learned for the army for self-defense, this was like basically giving like a signal to my friends that the enemy is attacking. So with my hands, I'm giving a signal, and my friends already know that I'm going to attack moving forward or moving to the right, to the left. So that's where all it came from. And a lot of people don't know this. When you ask them, they might have a black belt. They're like, "What are you doing here?" They're going to be like, "I don't know." So it's that's why the real old school martial artists that have learned the proper way, I think, is very beneficial.
Tradition, right?
Tradition, yes, history, and understanding what you're doing, and you have to practice. Besides understanding, you have to practice with multiple people attacking you, and you use the form that you used. And that, the more years you do it, it has sweeps, takedowns, it has ground control, standing up, back on your feet, fighting. That's why it was in the Olympics, in the Tokyo, and it's beautiful now when you watch karate, like, forms katas.
It was in Tokyo, huh?
Tokyo, yes. And then now they took it out because the president is from Spain and a lot of political stuff. So, they wanted to change, and they want to put the guy in France. And they said that, no, if you don't get out, we're going to not, put it in France. And they actually did that, I think. So it could be real serious. The next one, they want to take him out so he could become, they could make it an Olympic event again. But yes, it was in Tokyo. It was an official Olympic event.
It's evolved a lot, huh? Like karate and from back in the 70s, because that was what everybody was doing, right? And then of course, like it changed, right, with the Karate Kid and like with kids and in American culture, at least, right?
Yeah.
And then around the world, because it was so big, the film.
Big. Yeah, I think it's like going now. You see Karate Combat, it's very, very
Machida
popular.
came out.
Yeah. I think all martial arts, every style, there is no style.
Right.
Like Bruce Lee back in the days, we used to say, what is a style? You have to know everything, adapt to every situation. You have to know how to grapple. Jiu-Jitsu, beautiful, amazing way of life, everything, all the philosophy it has. Taekwondo, all the arts have something beautiful that you could take from and learn, and learn it. Like it's this, especially in the United States, we have everything, all the best in the world, and you could learn from everybody and why not learn?
Yeah, I remember that's something that we would talk about back in the day, and you would tell me about. And I appreciated that, that was cool. Like you can learn from everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Different styles.
That's why I was always open. My gym, when you came, it's open because I already, when you approach the person, you speak to the person, you handshake, this person's been, where he's coming from and how much he's done, and you have to learn, But of course, you're one of the best out there to do it. But that's not the most important. The important is the relationship and how this person approaches you and what he's gone through and what he's done in his life, and it's beautiful to learn from somebody like you, Alberto. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you
for us.
Thank you. So how did you at 16 years old start having your own school, and how does that even work with leases and things like that?
It was under my brother's name, the
brother's
lease.
Name, okay.
So my coach was basically got married, and he opened up another gym in North Hollywood. Okay. So he was on his honeymoon, this, that. And a lot of kids, we had another instructor when he was doing all the traveling that opened up another gym. And by Smart and Final, it was a Taekwondo gym he opened up. And so a lot of them went with him because he was mainly there, which was okay. I stayed, and there was like maybe 10 to 15 kids left. and the lease was about over. So he said, I'm just going to focus on North Hollywood, and why don't you just help me out this 3 months? So it's like 10, 15 students. Back then it was like $80, $85, I remember. And it's just a little bit of money. We could split it, and you could help me with the rent here, and you could make something instead of just, closing it in the 3 months. So I started teaching that 3 months, and next thing you know, a lot of kids came back, a lot. It was about like 60 to 100 kids came back, approximately. Like in the 5th month, I remember I had like 100 students already, because they knew like I was the one competing and the one of the students that was good in the team. And so yeah, they came back, and I was like, I want to close it, but I never thought about being a coach, and it was like more natural, and the parents loved it. Please, you could do both. You could keep fighting, and you could teach, and I just didn't want to let the kids down, like close it. And not everybody has the ability and to go to North Hollywood, and it's a drive, after school, and it's not easy. Not every parent could afford that. So I was like basically drawn into it, and the lease was over. So we had to think about, like what you said, is how do we do this? So we put it. My brother was 19, and we put it under his name, and I just started coaching. And then it was small. It was 1,600 square feet. And then the next door, it was a medical supply. I expanded. I took over that. It became 2,600 square feet. That's when I added the ring and started teaching. And then
what location was it?
It was on Glendale Avenue, Maple and Glendale.
Maple and Glendale.
Yeah. Now it's like a little dance studio, I believe, over there. So they're still doing something with kids over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What years were those?
So that was in 2000. I graduated, so it was like 98 when I opened it up. Yeah, 98, 99, 2000. I was already teaching a lot, every day. So right after high school, like when I was in high school, I would just come home, just get my clothes, and boom, back into the gym until like 10 p.m. Hour and a half, strong training back then, different a little bit. Mindset was different too. So yeah, it was hard.
How was the scene back in those days, like in Glendale?
I think it was a bit different. Nowadays, kids, and the kids back then, I think, I don't want to say the kids back then more serious. It's that they didn't have much. And I think
less distractions,
less
right?
distractions.
Phones
no
technology.
phones, nothing like that. So when they would get in there, you would see that they want to stay there, and they're not distracted. They commit. The punishments, of course, was different. We used to punish them differently. Yeah. Nowadays, you can't do that, and it's not about the right and the wrong. I think it's better what we have now, explaining to them and everybody, the respect is different. And back then, it's just a little bit hardcore, I think. Punishment, everything different. Kids wanted it. They wanted that. The parents wanted that. The parents would get in and no noise, everybody training hard, and everybody just, and there wasn't like a big goal they would look up to, like, hey, we're going to get here. It wasn't that. They just loved doing it that way. It's nowadays the goal is there. I mean, there's more out there that we could achieve, and we have the abilities to put them towards that direction for you. Let's say the competition, you could take them to the worlds, whatever. You have all the ability, the knowledge, the coaches, the facility. Back then, we didn't have that, and we didn't know where we're exactly going to be ending up, but we still trained so hard. So it was, I don't know what it was. I think it's the distractions were less, like what you're saying, and the way just we grew up, fighting was just, it was a normal thing for us to
different
fight.
Connections, right? Different relationship in a way, right? Like different, but I guess it is different, right? When you don't have so many distractions, right?
True.
Because you call somebody on the phone.
True.
I mean, it was
we didn't have that.
no text messaging, right?
Walk to the gym, right away, just excited to see your friends and spend time there, and not go because now you can't call them with the cell phone. Your friend leaves, that's it. Until you call the house and the parents are home, of course, everybody needs to share the phone, and you can't be on the phone. One of them has a sister, is going to talk to the friend, boyfriend, or whatever it is, 1 hour. You can't talk to your friend, 5 minutes maximum.
Different time.
So we wanted to be together, and when you're together, you're in a martial arts gym, you're going to train. So I had kids stay there 6 hours. I would stay there 6 to 8 hours a day. By 11 p.m., they would take me home. My friends had a car, and I was 11, 12, and when I was training, they would take me home. They had a private student, let's say at night, that would work at Van Bakery. He would come do some privates. Guys would make a little bit of money, and then they would take me home. We would eat something, a burrito. That was
what a story. What a story, huh? That in high school still. And
different, way different.
Yeah, and you started training. I'm talking to George. different styles of striking martial arts.
Yeah,
And you
so
excelled in
stand-up.
all of stand-up.
Yeah, stand-up fighting. Yeah, we didn't grapple much with Gokor. Of course, my coach was friends with Gokor, and we grappled a little bit. Manny and those guys, we grew up together.
Yeah.
So Caro, I remember going to Sensei
Brazilian,
Jean LaBelle's house, and we would grapple. So, but not as much. Our focus was more on stand-up fighting because back then there was Draka, which was Russian professionals fighting. It was a federation. Draka was the name, but it was a Sancho and Sanda fighting style. So it was exactly, and they did it at the Great Western Forum, the Olympic Auditorium. They had events there, and it was very big. So our focus, takedowns were allowed, but no ground fighting. And you would get a Kung Lee actually fought in the same organization. He fought my friend actually, Israeli on hike, and it was in a tremendous fight. And so, yeah, our focus was on that, more stand-up fighting and competition. Yeah, my kids, like I said, since I did wushu, there was taekwondo competition. We would focus 6 months on legs and we would go compete and get good results, And then Muay Thai, of course, the professional league what paid. So we had to do that more, So started Thai boxing and kickboxing more and promoting with George, but I fought before that. And
Promoting with
George. K1 stuff were in, and Dwayne Ludwig and guys were fighting, of course. And, I was
because
part of it,
LA
fighting.
was like the scene for Muay Thai in America, right?
Muay Thai,
and like
yeah.
maybe even around the world, right?
Yeah, we had
I
good
remember
fighters.
seeing it in the magazines and stuff.
Yeah, good fighters. Rob the Razor, McCall, all those guys, I still talk to them and we connect, but a little bit older generation than me, few years, 4 or 5 years. But back then when I was 16, it's a big difference, than a 20, 21-year-old competing. I looked up to them, but good fighters, Joe Schilling, all those guys, we all fought on the same card. So I fought a lot of Muay Thai fights too, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Did you do boxing as well?
Yeah, so I boxed as an amateur, but never competed, in tournaments because when I was doing Muay Thai, a lot of people were advising me to do boxing because more money. And my brother was so against me opening up the gym. So he was like, don't, because...
The one that signed the lease for you?
Yeah, signed the lease. No, don't do it. You should box. Because boxing was an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
But when I was 16, of course, the gym and teaching 6 hours a day, it was so tough. But in boxing, I didn't want to have a martial arts gym and box, and in the... It was going to be too much. It was going to be, I had to focus more. Boxing, do training camps, travel, and be sparring partner, and to get that promotional deal, So this was much easier for me too, because I was in it for a longer time too. And I didn't have the connections back then for boxing to get signed with a promoter, but I wish I boxed because more money, of course. Boxing, I love it. I started loving boxing because of the competition. The older I got, I realized that the competition is so deep. In each division, you have Olympic champions, you have Olympic medalists. So it's 10 years the guy's competing for, for the world title in professional boxing. In 10 years, you have 2-3 Olympics, every 4 years. You have already 3 medalists. You have 9 guys that are Olympic medalists you have to beat to become a world champion. So that's what I love about it, because the competition is so serious and it's an Olympic event.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like
It
wrestling.
changes the level, right?
It changes the level, definitely. And the finances, of course, everything. You could make a living, but it's tough. But yeah, so didn't compete as a professional boxer.
Yeah, but you were, because I remember going to boxing events with guys you would support.
Yeah.
Going to get my fight medicals and stuff with the guys.
Yeah, no, I started, of course, coaching boxing, and the guys that I had kickboxers were good. I recommended them. What I didn't do, of course, transition into boxing. Like, you could do it, and I had a lot of fighters like that, and I had a lot of success. And there has been many great kickboxers that have transitioned into boxing and became boxing world champions. From Thailand to Samat Piakalum, let's say WBC champion. It was great Muay Thai fighter, one of the legends. And
yeah, George kind of shared the story a little bit, how he came over.
George brought a Muay Thai fighter that that is a boxing world champion, Yot Sanan, and 3K Battery.
He's saying how they never came to the U.S. and kept their title, and because the training camp you guys did with him, he won.
Great times. Yeah, he fought Vincere Mosquera, and great, from Panama. Good fights. Good fighters out there. And so I had a lot of kickboxers like that. I started getting into boxing more professional, and a lot of years, of 12 years, I take my fighters to sparring at Wild Card. So Freddie, I know Freddie Roach very well. 3 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they spar. Consistent. Every day you go, there's every other day you go there sparring. And from 8 a.m. I would go, by the time we get there 9, and then start warming up until 2 p.m. Guys are sparring every, other day, 3 times a week. So for 12 years, I went every day. So I think by watching all those styles fighting, what I noticed at the end is, as I was going, is that what they know is they see so many different styles sparring each other, so many hundreds of rounds every day. So which style works with which style could beat which style, and how you're supposed to fight this style. So that's a big, I think, advantage that, like Freddie Roach's gym wildcard, he has, is because he's seen it so much in front of his eyes. When you don't see that every day, it's not that you forget, but you have to see it. Like the Russian style, Soviet Union, the jab, they use the in and out with their legs, how you could beat them, how an American style fighter fights them, and what are the results at the highest level. And then you see the Filipino style lefty, Pacquiao, the movement, and then you see the Mexican style, you see all that in front of you. And we would make adjustments with, like, Freddie, we could beat this guy with, like, he throws a great 1-2, he's the Soviet Union style in and out, like Bivol does, right? With Canelo, he does the in and out good, the 1-2. How do we stop that 1-2? So let's double jab, double jab is perfect. We don't let him go 1-2, we just pop 2 jabs and they can't throw the 1-2. So we would work on stuff like that, and it would work. The double jab stops that 1-2. Don't give him time to step in with that 1-2. Double jab, they're gonna back up, or you're gonna distract them. They can't throw it. So as we saw that, we progress and we learn. I think that's very important, in the gym to see it. Like you watch grappling world class at the highest level every day, black belts competing. You're gonna see things that patterns that not everybody sees at the highest level. So now you're gonna be like, okay, this works here with this style of fighter, this body type, and so that's a lot of experience.
You love it.
I love it. Yeah, boxing. That's what I fell in love with, because it's so simple. It's like a grappling, right? It's just that. And the art is so deep. People think it's basic, but it's so, like, you're wrestling, right? It's so difficult.
Yeah, it's just a single leg. It's just a double leg. But it's like,
it's so difficult. Like boxing, everybody thinks they know it. Everybody thinks they could throw hooks. It's like, I could fight. It's like, no, it's more than that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Who have been some of your favorite boxers over the years?
My favorite, because I know personally Manny Pacquiao, he's invited me with Ronda to his house, and I know him personally, so I love him. Besides, like, that I know him, he's a great champion, because 8th division champion, and what he's come through, in his life, and that's amazing. So I love Manny Pacquiao, of course, and I like all styles of fighters, different. I like Sugar Ray Leonard, I like Roberto Duran, the way he fights inside. Mike Tyson, of course, a legend, his philosophy and his approach to finish the fights like that. At heavyweight, being 5'10", fighting those big guys, just amazing. Nowadays, I like Usyk, very good, just beat Tyson Fury, and Lomachenko, very beautiful, different style for the Ukrainians, brought something different to boxing. And we have all the American boys, of course, Crawford, amazing, We have a lot of good ones. Now, I think now boxing is at its peak, of course. Turkey Alishek, also the promoting in Saudi, putting these big fights is beautiful, because that's what boxing needs, is not too many promoters just battling for the money or, like, banging heads. Instead of that, let the best fight each other. That's what the UFC has, of course.
Yeah.
Makes the fights. When people are interested, people want to see it. They don't think about who's in their prime or who's, needs a few more fights. They just let the fight happen. And I think that's what makes it exciting. That's why the wins and the losses happen. And that's the beauty of the sport. You're going to lose too. You're going to win, but fight, and your time will come.
Put the best fights together,
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. And if you lose, you're younger, you learn from that. Like Canelo lost to Mayweather, he got beat 11 rounds out of 12. He was young, 23 years old. Now he says, maybe it wasn't the right time for me to pick up the fight, but I showed up, I did my best, and I learned from it. And now look where he is. He got a big contract with the Zone TV, 300 million, whatever it is. But he had a great career, and that's what he needed to learn. Now, maybe if he fought, he would have won, but who cares about that win-loss? What it taught you? What experience did that give you? Just like what martial arts gives you. Don't worry about how good you are or what who you beat or what competition you won. Think about what it gave you. If you think about it like that, the whole picture of it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You'll love it more. You'll respect it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. the life lessons, right? The character development, how it makes you a better person.
Absolutely. What it keeps you away from, what it does for you, for your family, you know, just it's just amazing. If you put those, all the championships, everything, who's the best will just be in the last place, you know.
How has martial arts helped you in your life?
A lot, because when we came, a lot of fights in school, you know, a lot. And Armenians here in Glendale and a lot of Latinos just fighting each other. Now they're brothers and everybody respects each other and they get along, which is great. But back then it wasn't like that, you know, different cultures. And sometimes people say that, they say so many fights in the United States, the crime rate is so high. But think about how many different nationalities there are in the United States. So many different. If you put all these different nationalities in different countries, trust me, the crime rate will be so much. So this is a great country and it's beautiful. But back then, you know, misunderstanding and it was a bit different. And so it helped me, you know, defend myself, protect myself, be strong, you know, mentally, physically, and just get through those times. And fights were a lot. And just a way of life, I think the discipline of it, you know, what my kids see in my life, all the hard work we do, all the challenges we have in front of us and how we, you know, overcome that. And I think it helps my son and my daughter, you know, academic, great in school, does sports, plays tennis, and my son plays soccer. And, you know, his challenges, I'm like, see, Liz, you don't get punched in the face. And
right, we're talking about that.
We're just talking about that. So it's a bit easier,
Smarter.
but there's smarter, yeah. But there's
the same thing, right?
But it's the same thing. They have difficulties. It's hard on the body. They get kicked on the legs and the pressure of the game. So many games, you know. So it's all the professional sports have some type of, you know, body trauma but this sport, the discipline of it and the way of life, I think is the best sport in the world, because once you know you're physically, mentally prepared for strong, you're ready for everything, you know. Nothing could put you on the floor. You just falling, getting up, grappling, jiu-jitsu, though, you fall, you get up. That's a way of life. Life is like that. There's days that you're not going to be the best day of your life, and you have to get up. Here too, you fall, you get up, and that's what it teaches. Yeah, it's very simple.
Straight up, right?
Yeah.
There's that lesson alone is
that's
everything.
it. Yeah, just falling and getting up. That's what it is, right? It's a way of life. It's not going to be perfect every day,
because everybody's going to fall at one point in life.
Absolutely, and this is what it shows you. Every second you see that in the gym. Somebody's falling, getting up, falling, getting up. And you got to do that rest of your life.
Yeah,
you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, you know, remember you know, going there and starting to teach group classes, and I met one step led to another, and then they were asking me to find the UFC, and then I was already with you and training, and I always appreciated your mindset and how you thought about things, and then going to, because you had never gone to UFC or you know, training any MMA events or fighters or whatever, and yeah, it was what was your impression on MMA and just the development of the sport?
I loved it. I loved it because the puzzle is bigger, and to solve it, of course, knowing your skills, you're a great grappler, you know, and your striking, you were developing very well, and you had experience, but every fight is different, and we have to approach it, take the fight where you're best at. So it's how you're going to take the fight there, you know. So it was very challenging, very beautiful, I think, and learned a lot from it. And yeah, like, you know, I worked with Manny also from the you know, for his Aldo fight, big fights, and every fight you learn, and from your mistakes also. As a trainer, you have mistakes. Until Manny, I talked to him until now, you know, Aldo hadn't lost a round until when I was working with Manny. He knocked out Mike Brown, and then he fought Aldo, and he beat Aldo in the first round. In the second round, he tried to do exactly what he was doing in the first round, and he got caught. Why? Because Aldo sat down and he made the adjustment. How do I take this left hook from Manny? Because he was landing a beautiful left hook. That's what we worked on. So second round, Aldo thought about it. He's going to come with a left hook. I'm going to throw a right cross down the middle. And that's what exactly he did, and he dropped Manny. And I'm like, Manny, second round, we should have switched it. We shouldn't throw that left hook because he's so experienced. But you learn from that, and that's what experience is, you know. I wish we could have switched it right away. Just don't do that left hook, because you know he's going to sit down, he's going to adapt to that. So, you know, you learn from wins, losses, and working with you was amazing because your grappling was at the highest level, you know. How could we use that? And, you know, how could we use it at the biggest stage with the best in the world? And it's not easy. A lot of people look at it, they're like, easy, take the fight to the floor, to the ground. But we got some rounds into sparring with you. Amazing, you know, Alberto. It was great. Yeah. With spar, I remember you'd come so tired, right, after teaching and moving your family here. And it was times for you, everything together, combined, you know, a lot of things happening. So it's not easy to do everything together. And I remember you're so tired, your wife would bring you in sometimes to drive you back home. That's when we went, and I knew your wife's cousin, of course, Roman, those guys, good friends of ours. Yeah, so
the boxer,
Boxer, very good guy. Roman's a very nice guy, good family. So we go way back. All of us know each other. Armenians are connected in Glendale especially.
That was like, it was UFC like 74, 2007.
Yeah,
it was just coming out of the Ultimate Fighter, right? So it was just gaining popularity in a way, right? Really kind of going mainstream.
Huge.
Just beginning of the mainstreamness of it, right?
It was big. Where was the fight, Alberto?
It was at Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay Bay, yeah, huge.
And it was interesting, right? Interesting time in the sport, right? With things. How did it compare to, like, you know, striking or even boxing?
Different. I think different because the clinch and the groundwork and the takedowns change the game a lot. You know, I think that falling and getting even back up, if you're a striker, just falling, getting up, you have to be ready for that. You know, in just kickboxing, boxing, that doesn't happen. Clinches happen here and there, but it's not to that level that you're on the floor, exposed, you're back on the ground, you know, against a good grappler, good wrestler, and then now you got to get up and you got to throw punches again. Yeah, that mindset of you being taken down again just could change the game, you know, completely.
But I was thinking just even like the promotion side.
Oh, the UFC back then, I don't know. I didn't look at it too much as how the promotion was, because I was looking at just to win the fight, and, you know, just approach the fight. But yeah, there's the atmosphere, of course, UFC but it wasn't, you're right. It wasn't like it was it was starting to pick up. Yes, right away. Like they were getting the big names already together to come out. But I've been to K1 fights, of course, before that. And K1 was
in Japan?
In Mandalay Bay. With George, I went to fights and like a tournament, 8-man tournament. Atmosphere was good, but not to that level. The UFC still bigger, and but the UFC events, of course, now you go, it's the best in the world. I think, you know, I haven't been to one championships though. I don't know what they say. It's amazing and it's good. Have you been?
I haven't. I've watched on TV. I watched the first one they had in the US.
They had
the whole thing, and I watched on social media and stuff, and just the promotion, and also the culture is a little different, right? It's a very different. They keep the respect and the kind of the martial art, the good martial art qualities, you know,
qualities, they keep it. Yeah.
The promotion, right?
Yeah,
which
in
I
Asia,
like.
I think it, like the ranking wise, I was watching Champions League, of course, higher soccer, and then the World Cup. I think third was like, or fifth. It was one championships, like the ratings in Europe, all over the world. You know, Asia. So the ratings I had. Petrosian fights in there. I spoke to him. He says it's very good.
The ONE FC.
Yeah, ONE FC, and Petrosian Georgia does the Muay Thai fights. So they have the striking also with the MMA gloves. They have it, and they have it regular. That's fun, you know, MMA gloves, striking. So it's pretty big. And then the promoter, it was with Sit Yotong camp where me and George trained, and Walter from Sit Yotong and those guys. So he went to school in Boston, but he trained there with Kru Yotong. I trained in Thailand also, so that's amazing, you know, what he could do with it and how big it is. It's good. I think all the fighters, there's so many great fighters, so they need to be someplace.
More opportunities, right?
Yes, opportunities, more opportunities.
Yeah, they do like a grappling part two, jiu-jitsu, grappling.
How is that? How are the grapplers there? What do you think?
I mean, they get the best guys, you know.
They get the best
guys.
And
they match them up, and I think it's exciting. And I think the UFC's, you know, Dana's taking notice, and so they have like the UFC Fight Pass, and they started doing it as well.
They brought
Mikey Mitsumichi.
How is he? How do you
he's amazing. You know, man. Yeah, he's just, you know, he's another level, you know.
Another level. That's awesome.
Technique and, you know, just the martial art, you know.
Beautiful.
He's definitely elevated it, you know.
Elevated it. They have good competitors. UFC signed to compete with him, or it was just
I'm not
a
sure.
one-time
I'm not sure.
event
Yeah, I
they
just
did
know I
that
saw
one?
his name and I saw he competed
Yeah.
against other
Okay.
guys. But I think One FC kind of does something similar, right? With getting big names and then
Big
they match
names,
them up with
match
different
'em up.
people.
Yeah, but it's not like so many fights and then the champion like the UFC
Right.
did. It's not
Right.
that,
It's like
yeah.
one match at a time.
Okay. But
But it's
hopefully it
cool.
could get there, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe they could have like a division of the best in the world and then compete for the title.
Yeah,
Like that would
yeah.
be exciting because
Yeah.
it's getting there. It's
Yeah.
getting there.
I mean, ADCC. You follow
yeah,
Abu
I
Dhabi,
follow
you
that.
know.
Yeah.
It's been cool to see. I went to. I remember like 25 years ago, we went to our first No-Ghi grappling tournament in Vegas. It was at a high school, you know.
Yeah.
And then, remember the tap out guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
of
So
course.
the tap out guys were there selling T-shirts out of their trunk, you know. And then to see the Abu Dhabi or ADCC have their event at the UNLV like arena, you know,
Yes.
was really, really amazing. The level of promotion, having the UFC like Bruce Buffer, announce the Pride person
Yes.
announcer. It was really cool. Really came like such a long way.
Yeah.
From
there was
all
another
those years.
promotion too that was going heads up with ADCC.
This last year, CGI.
Yes,
The Craig Jones, yeah.
Craig
And so
Jones,
that
yeah.
was.
How was that?
I mean, man, they had that that karate combat kind of
Yeah, style,
arena,
yeah, the pit,
and
the
that
pit.
was the pit,
Yeah.
and that like elevated everything. At first, I was
They
like,
got
oh,
paid good too. The fighters, the competitors,
yeah, right,
got
they
paid
made-
well. That's awesome.
and it elevated the. At first I was like, because I was friends with Mo, we got we got stem cells together, and so we spent the week together. So I was like,
Okay.
oh man, why are they trying to ruin the
ADCC,
hardware
yeah,
ADCC? Because it was like on the same day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I started to see the social media posts, and I was like, man, this is like really funny and good for the sport.
Yeah, good for the sport.
Good for the
Yeah.
sport.
I saw Justin Flores was there too, one of the coaches. I think
Well, he was one of the, I
haven't
think,
spoke to him.
referees.
Referees,
They were
yes. Oh,
judges,
yeah,
yeah.
judges. Sorry, I'm saying
Yeah.
coaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And they had amazing matches, and they fought or they competed with intentions to win, right? It was like almost like a fight, right?
Yeah, good.
And I think that was the kind of the goal with the Sheik starting the Abu Dhabi Combat Club.
So are they going to continue that? Are they,
They-
this year they're doing more shows or? what's the
Yeah,
deal?
they secured funding. The
Nice.
Craig Jones that they secured the funding for the second edition.
Nice. That's
So-
good. Hopefully.
Teams, right? Teams. I saw that.
Oh, they're gonna do teams. Yeah,
They're gonna do
Well,
teams.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
That'll be fun.
I mean, they're elevating
Yeah.
everybody's, they're making
Good.
funny videos, they're
Yeah.
making funny content, and it
Yes.
just sucks you in. You're like,
What do you think could make it more exciting, Alberto? The style of fight, not the style of fighting, like the round, because I know the rounds make such a big difference. Let's say 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 rounds, or no round, submission only. Like, what do you think
Craig
will
Jones
make
doesn't have points, right? It's just decision.
They did 3 rounds.
3 rounds?
Fought 3 5-minute rounds.
3 5 minute
Kinda
rounds.
like
what do you
MMA.
think will make it so exciting? Because you see, like, short, let's say kickboxing is exciting glory. Why? Because it's 3 rounds, right? 3 minutes. It's a lot of boom, boom, boom right away. Because 3 rounds, you lose 1 round. Now it's a juggle. Second round, third round. You don't have much to come back. And UFC, let's say 5 rounds. It's so different than if it was
Pride, right?
Pride
10
times,
minutes,
yes,
yeah.
10 minutes. Like, and the wrestlers have an advantage, let's say here, and then they won't have an advantage in the longer because now submission will
Right.
work more effectively because if they're a bit fatigued, submission, you don't need that much strength, very well. So what do you think will make grappling so exciting? Like the times, what do you think is the right way to
the
do it?
times, like I think just the rule set, like ADCC, what makes it cool is like it's which style is the best? The grappling style. That was the beginning, right? Kind of like UFC, right? Which martial arts style is the
Yes.
best? And so you're trying to.
The
that
matchups
was the
have to be
beginning,
correct,
Now
basically.
everybody has to learn everything. You have to do
Everything, yes.
wrestling. You have to do judo.
leg
You have
locks,
to do
sambo, leg
sambo.
locks,
Yeah,
all
you
the
have to
stuff,
do
yeah,
all of it.
yes.
Just like UFC, right?
Yes.
So I think that Craig Jones, like the CGI was
Three
the way they
rounds,
had that arena because the guys fall out of the arena and then like they have to stop the match, but there's no escaping, right?
Okay.
So just the arena itself, like the karate
the
combat,
way it is,
the way you can't fall
stay
out.
in there
You
and
stay
you
in there.
can compete.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
it's
go
good.
you
That's
go to
smart.
the end
Yes.
to the submission or
Getting out of bounds, bring him in, putting him in the same position
That
they
stops
were.
the
It stops
match.
the tempo of the fight. That's smart. Okay, so that's what he did.
That's
so
one
the
thing,
tempo
yeah.
doesn't stop.
Right.
Yes.
That's one thing.
That's exciting for fans.
Yeah.
Because that stop, I think, is already doesn't make it as exciting. Here, you're always in danger to get submitted or fall in a bad position.
He did rounds so they can know they're losing and have a break.
And then
Stall
adjust.
for 10 minutes.
Uh,
15 minutes, people stall. Instead of 15 minutes, he broke it up into
So, bro, five minutes. Yeah,
So
5
after
minutes.
each round, they said who's the winner or who's winning. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So he made it like before Olympic boxing was like that too. Round by they show you his open scorecard. So
winning?
that makes you. Let's say you're losing
Fight
2
harder.
rounds, you got to go for the finish third round. It's exciting. But if you don't,
And it showed like all the matches were
That's
like
smart.
crazy, like
That's
just
smart.
action packed.
Okay, so it was open scoring. That's beautiful. Okay, so he's doing the right thing. Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you what could make it like it could be, you know, like the UFC, basically big events.
You know the IBJJF, right? The International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation with the gi, and they have no gi as well. But they kind of made it like judo, and you know, like they don't let people celebrate, and you know, just certain things were like not celebrated or not encouraged,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so I think that in a way, kind of took away a little bit of the kind of the hype of the sport, you know?
Yeah, but that's more like the Olympic. They want to probably make it an Olympic event. Yeah, they want to make that like into the Olympics. Maybe they want to keep it
Right.
structured and disciplined so it could be qualified to the Olympics.
Good point, right? But the thing with IBJJF is that they don't want it to make they don't want to make it an Olympic sport. That's not
So
their goal.
why are they keeping it so conservative like that?
Yeah, but the federation, the Abu Dhabi Federation, their goal is to make it an Olympic sport.
Okay.
So they wanted to make it because they want the IBJJF. They don't want to take away the effectiveness of, you know, like the UFC, like Jiu-Jitsu one, like the style because of the, you know, the martial art. They don't want to make it. They don't want to all the politics and everything else. They don't want to change it because Jiu-Jitsu turned into judo, right? And the goal for Jigar Khanna was to make it an Olympic sport, and so they took away stuff that wasn't spectator friendly.
Okay,
You know,
I get you.
so it's interesting, right? Because like, oh, it was to make it more Olympic friendly. Like, no, actually, no. So it's interesting, and I think Abu Dhabi or ADCC definitely like elevated the sport with the production value of the thing, and then CGI just kind of they're adding to it, you know, and then they're bringing a lot of eyes to the sport and making it exciting.
Which one would you rather see in the Olympics one day, God willing, gi or no gi? Or both? Have 2 divisions.
I mean, like the thing with jiu-jitsu with the gi, it's like it's very similar to judo, right? You know, in a way.
Yes.
I don't know if they would have that, but you know,
So
I love
close to
both. You know, I'm so obsessed with jiu-jitsu, and I love both. So
Yeah,
you know,
it's a tough thing,
hard to,
right? That's
yeah,
why
you know, it's the no-gi is definitely more. There's a like a special you know love I have for each one. You know, like the technique, and you can't just slide out. Your athleticism, you can be really smart and do stuff with the gi, and you know win like that. And the guy with no gi can be very athletic and tough and can win like that. You know, so.
True.
So there's
a lot of wrestlers could get in there and work,
yeah.
but the wrestler in with the gi, it's over.
It's different, right? It's different. Yeah, you have to really learn.
Hold the lapel. They can't shoot for your legs already.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
away.
yeah. So I like both, but I think it's hard for me to say
It's hard.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But the interesting thing is definitely the production value to make it more popular. You know, just because it was so underground, so small. They moved the World Championship from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro, to here in 2007, the year I moved here to LA. You know,
Okay.
and so it shifted a lot of things. Like all the best Brazilian guys, a lot of the best teachers, they moved to the U.S. You know,
To the US.
because the opportunities and stuff, of course, of the country. You know,
Sure.
but yeah, it's
Interesting. Yeah, so for me, what the question you asked, we went there is like I didn't watch the promotion side. Which one is like
you weren't thinking about it at all.
just thinking at that age, young, you know, just want to win fights and focus on fights and training. But yeah, nowadays it's beautiful. You know, the level is amazing. I think.
Like Dana White, I remember him saying like, "There's never going to be a female in the UFC," right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's crazy times. At those times when Ronda started, just different. Right away, it changed. You know, a lot in my life, of course. With Dana and the promotion, and you know, fighting, getting fights, being ready to fight, non-stop training. You know, I would say we were in the gym a lot, 6 hours a day, only Ronda working. You know, so a lot of. Times because of the striking again that you had to catch up and you have to win fights. So a lot of people don't see that. They don't understand that. Okay, you're preparing for a fight and we have to win, of course, with her judo and her grappling skills or armbar, but we need to learn striking also. But that learning process is so difficult when you're getting ready for a fight. You have a match in front of you, correct? You don't
Right.
have that free time, mind relaxed to learn new techniques,
yeah.
to evolve. So we had to keep going, put extra times. So
How did you get connected with Ronda?
so Ronda was training, I think went to American Top Team, to tried a few gyms to start her MMA career, and then went to Gokor's gym with Manny, was training for a few months, and then she knew Manny was coming by me to do striking.
And they were friends from back
Then
growing
because,
up,
yeah,
judo and
Ronda's
stuff.
mom and did judo with Gokor, those guys, and then Ronda did a lot of trainings with Manny. The time she got before the Junior Worlds, I think, worked with Manny a lot. So Manny was coming to me, and then she asked Manny, like, who do you train by? You're striking, and Manny was coming. So she came a few times, and yeah, basically Manny and them, they talked and knew I had a gym and just came, and she had no fights. And I was there from her first amateur fight until the end of her career, so just basically didn't want to train her. We had Art, those guys, all of them fighting, and got in a little argument with her because of the training, not giving her too much attention. Then she came, I gave her the keys, like, come, just train. And then she had her first fight, amateur fight. I didn't even know who the matchup is when it is. Darren, back then, her manager, called, said we have a matchup. And I was around the area with my friend. They said, you want to go support her? I mean, they said she's an Olympic, medalist.
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
much about her. I said it's cool to support somebody Olympic medalist, And she got real excited when I got there. So that was her first fight. And
The amateur one?
wrapped up the amateur one.
vi-
And it was in a little gym. It was in a little gym. So, and she just, boom, right away won. And yeah, so just started fighting Canada. And then she got the call for, the Strike Force, and then won that, and then the UFC, of course.
Yeah.
So they came. She found me, and that's about it. Just started working, with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story, right?
Yeah.
All the, my daughter is wrestling now, right?
Amazing.
And it's got to have helped the women doing combat sports, right?
Definitely. It's beautiful. Yeah, I was talking to Ronda, actually. She was saying here that she wants to get her daughter in wrestling too. I was just telling you about that. Yeah, it has helped, and she loves wrestling too. Wrestling's big right now for females, and I think, Ronda's her confidence and the way she finished fight, like everything was perfect
So
for
dominant,
a female.
right?
So dominant, like basically like a Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
finishing every fight so fast, comparing her to Mike Tyson. And I remember when we were fighting Ibjjf Correa in Brazil, it was the first time we were traveling outside of the United States to fight as a professional mixed martial artist, actually in Canada, but that was before she got the Strike Force contract. And this one was a big fight world title. And I said, he said, okay. I asked Dana White if Mike Tyson comes, watches her training, and he came to the gym to watch, and that was a great moment for us, of course, me growing up watching Mike Tyson and him being there watching the training. It was beautiful. And I said, since we're going out, Mike Tyson, of course, went out, to Japan, and he had his first loss, but this is not what we're going to do. We're going to win, and we're going to get her. I think all that was just perfect for a female like her to show all these skills compared to Mike Tyson, finishing the fights, well-spoken, American, beautiful. It was just perfect, I think, for females to get in there. Besides getting in there, make the money also. She got, great pay, made a living, and Olympic medalist. I think everything was just perfect for a female like her to break out and put women on the map.
On the map, yeah.
It was just the perfect person, I think, and it happened to her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I when I was younger in Brazil with jiu-jitsu, there weren't that many women, and there weren't like
yes.
athletes like her,
Yes.
We had that. Remember we did the King of the Cage? It was her first pro fight that she had.
Yes.
And so they had to basically try out. They had to get their fight license, right?
Yes.
And she had trained with some of the guys before, and I had never met a female like that good,
Not good, yes.
where she was tapping out like strong, athletic,
yes,
tough
yes.
guys,
Yeah, it was a problem sometimes getting your right sparring partners and even grappling because, the high level, let's say brown belt and they would go so hard because they had
They
to
had to, yeah.
survive, and then it would become a little bit too much.
And
because
she's
you're
so
a guy,
competitive
and
too.
she's so competitive. So it would.
You have
I
to
was,
watch out
I
for
was not
her.
afraid because of the disrespect. Everybody was always respectful, and we didn't have issues. But I was more afraid of the injuries.
Right.
So it was always challenging for me to bring in the right sparring partners and then bring in right females that could, roll with her and compete with her. So it could be a challenge so she could prepare for a fight. So I think the most challenging that for me with her training camp was always bringing in the right people. Like you said, there was not so many females
Right.
at that level. So it made it different, And the guys, some of them, it's like, who is she to tap me out? It's a girl.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you can't control everybody. Like, come on, bro, it's a female. No, you're training, and it would become a little bit intense sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she was something else. Like
Something
I
else.
couldn't, I couldn't. I never
Very
met
tough man.
somebody, female, like
The
that
way-
tough.
The way she would cut weight, I swear, I've never seen that, Alberto. Like that strong mentally.
Yeah,
in that
mentally.
tub, like hot tub for like 2 hours for half a pound, 1 pound. I'm like, Ronda, please, like get out. I would get exhausted, and I needed to breathe, like get out of the room to breathe a little bit. Mike Dolce was there, of course. Professional guidance was there. Whenever we did everything, it was always, done professionally. But still, I would get exhausted. I'm like, Mike, I have to breathe, brother. Let me step outside,
Yeah.
And she's in the tub, like fighting for that half a pound. 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours. It's unbelievable, that strength.
Mental.
It's mental. It's inside you. Not
Yeah.
It's like you're born with it. I swear she was born with a different level. Yeah.
Yeah, her mom being a world champion in judo, like just her story, right?
Her
It's
story,
like what a
yeah.
story, what a whole complete story,
Amazing,
right?
Amazing. She's doing very well, though. Everything is good. She's
Mom
happy.
now.
Yeah, everything is good. She's happy, always with family. Travis, everybody's doing good. So I speak to her occasionally, and yeah, everything is good.
Nice. What were some of your favorite moments? Looking back,
The 14-second win with Kat. I loved it because like a few months
Kat
before,
Zingano.
Kat Zingano, a few months before, there was the LA fight, of course, and a few months before, I said, what's your favorite number, Ronda? Because I used to make training camp T-shirts, and George has the printing company, so we print shirts for the kids and for the fans, guys that would come to visit her. We would give them to her at the fight, and then she said my favorite number is a 14. I said,
14.
yeah, I said 14. Okay, that's fine. And so I put number 14, and I put her Ronda Rousey training camp. That we were wearing it, and we were training, and a lot of kids showed up, and the students, and our family, everybody showed up to her fight, and they were wearing those shirts, 14, and the fight finished in 14 seconds. So now everybody has those shirts. People think like, what is this? Did they just fix these shirts? Is it fixed, or there's something
fight's
going on?
fixed, right?
The
Yeah.
fight's fixed. Everybody's like, bro, why are you guys wearing those shirts? When did you print it? You just printed it? I'm like, no, man, they were wearing it. They came like this. Now it's just so everything, like that belief, that mindset, the way you train, and things that you see, you want happens. And we even talked about that. Could you imagine the fight finishing in 14 seconds, and the fight finished in 14 seconds? It's crazy, like how much you believe in yourself and what you do, that in the result could be there. You could see that. You have to believe in it. You have to 100% believe in it, and everything is possible, through belief.
yeah,
So that was a special moment. But all her fights were beautiful, the way she finished fights. But yeah, the cartwheel she did. That fight, I had a lot of do gymnastics. After training, before training, tumbling a little bit, cartwheels one hand. And that was the only fight I had her do a lot of gymnastics. And she said, why are we doing this? I said, because that fight is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster, Ronda. She said, what do you mean? I said, she's crazy a little bit. She might jump on you with knee, this, that. You guys might, fall, this, that. A lot of things could happen in that fight. Just trust me. Keep doing it so your brain could be ready for all these rolls and twists. And right away she did the cartwheel. She out of the fight said, how'd you think about that? I'm like, well, that's my job.
Kat Zingano, she wrestled, right?
Yeah, she wrestled. Yeah, she wrestled, and she was do very unorthodox movement right away. So for me, I had to give her stuff like the rolls, everything you do in gymnastics, very good for your mind and to control it, when you get the head spin. So I had her do that. Yeah, but I love the game planning part. So the times it excited me was like with Joe Rogan, we had Goldberg, and everybody, just the commentators asking me how the fight is gonna, what Olympic medalist, Sarah McMahon.
Sarah McMahon, I
Yes,
was gonna
that's
ask you
the
about
one.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one. And she's
Because you have two Olympic medalists.
and she was gonna fight
Judo
us
versus
before.
wrestling.
When we were like 2-0, the managers called and said they want to fight Ronda, not in Strikeforce. I think we didn't even have a promotion back then. I said, this is crazy. Why? Later they will fight. Why now? Thank God I had experience in
promoting,
and like with boxing, I knew like the fights have to be done at the right time, and this is not like right time. There's not so many females out there. You want to at least save those two. But if it was the guys in the UFC, no problem. Let the gold medalists fight the first fight. That's okay. But you're not in the UFC, and there's not so many. So please, let's save this one at least. And I said no, and that's not the right fight. I explained to them. I don't know if Ronda was even aware of that, because she was, I'll beat her right now and I would get in there. So I just spoke to her and I said, bro, just tell him to stay away from us, please. We have more plans. And then, that fight, when I was talking to Joe the day before, and they even said after the fight when Ronda beats her, she was getting a lot of liver shot knockouts, and Ronda had no knockouts. I said, Ronda's going to knock her out with a liver shot. And when that happened, Joe Rogan, of course, commentating, says Edmond told us like a day before that she's going to get her on the body, because I was seeing that in camp, and it's beautiful when you see it a lot in camp at that level, at the highest level, when somebody's that good that could do it, you start believing in so much. And that was a beautiful moment that she hit her on the body. I knew like she was already getting dropped. So got up. Martin was next to me. He goes, exactly what she did. And then one of the fights with the grapplers, I said none of them are gonna run away from you. Go to the cage so you could take them down on the cage. With McMahon, I said you're going to have a difficulty taking her down because she's a wrestling silver medalist. So on the cage, use knees, elbows, mix it up so she won't know when the takedown is going, but work on the body, work on the liver. Wrestlers have that posture, and that liver shot is always going to be there for you. That low posture, I said it's perfect. You'll be open for your knees, and they get in. But with the grappling, Alexis Davis, she was a black belt. So I said she's not going to go on the cage. She believes she could beat you in grappling. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. She's going to stand in the middle. She said, yeah. I said, listen, all your fights have finished on the cage, on the wall.
Okay.
I said, this fight is going to finish in the middle. She said, why you say that? I said, because she believes she could beat you in grappling. She's not going to go back. If she believes she's going to beat you in grappling, she's going to stand there. She's going to swing and wrestle with you and meet you in the center, and who's the best grappler. She said, yeah, for sure. She's not going to back up. I said, for sure. See, fought, and she's jab. She's standing in front of jab, and then overhand right. Boom, her legs buckle, knee takedown, and then finish her with strikes. So she was like, you thought about it. It's not the thinking. It's when you put so much time and you know the styles, the outcome. Yeah. You see the outcome more. And when somebody's at that level, like you said, like Ronda, so dominant.
She was so dominant, and that's what... I think everybody has to, even the wrestling. My daughter's wrestling, like the popularity of even jiu-jitsu. I look at jiu-jitsu, the popularity. Like we have to kind of like tip our hats to Ronda.
True.
And putting on the show, right?
True.
Like
Very
the dominant performances that she did, just marketed female in combat sports, showed.
When we went to Brazil, the open workout, so many young, beautiful jiu-jitsu, kids running to her, hugging. I loved it. That was like another moment. Like I have so many great moments with her. When I saw that, all those kids that happy running to sign the gi, the belt, little Brazilian girls on the beach just running with their, gi on jiu-jitsu. That's a winner already. Like, what do you need? Nothing else. Nothing else. You don't need nothing else. That already giving that hope, that belief is just amazing. So Ronda did a hell of a job, and the way she would, communicate with her fans, show appreciation. She's amazing, when you know her personally, and you know how big of a heart she has. It's different what you see. If you see one little interview, her aggression or her the way she's she's a bully or something. It's very easy to look at 1 minute, 30 seconds.
The lighting,
exactly.
the story they want to tell.
Yes. They could always get something 30 seconds, 20 seconds from all of us and say this person didn't say the right thing or didn't do the, right thing. But overall, when you look at it, she,
you
like
can't-
what you said, you got to give her a lot of respect. And I love it. You see a lot of good girls right now. Like, I love Valentina Shevchenko. Like, her striking is beautiful, you know? Yeah, she's adapted into MMA. Now her takedown, everything is getting better, her grappling. But her striking, how she stands on her feet, like, she's an example to a lot of the guys. I swear she's the best probably striker in MMA right now. That's a female. Like, I'm saying it. Like, I've met her, you know, shook her hand. I said, amazing, you're one of my favorite fighters. But honestly, look at her striking. Look how clean Alberto she strikes, bro. That girl is a genius. I swear how she strikes, it's amazing when you watch it. It's perfect, picture perfect. All the time the same. Nothing is different. Same stance, same way, but she finds a way to win. Her distance management, it's like the basics are perfect. Perfect. Amazing champion.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't, because the time, right, of her Ronda being the first female, you know, to fight in the octagon, and just her dominant performances, like, you know, can't, you got to say, like, she's like the GOAT of
everybody loved her. I think
because that's what it needed, right?
Yeah, that's what they needed. I think the promotion took a big risk, of course, putting females because of Dana saying, "Oh, we don't want no females" and all that, and then putting that risk and all that finances and marketing and putting her the main event in the first female fight. A lot of people saying, you know, Mushida and Henderson, how could you put that co-main event, put Ronda? So we got a lot of, you know, a lot of people, fans not appreciating that. You're basically disrespecting, but the great fighters like Henderson and Mushida, but people saw that it wasn't disrespect. It was beautiful to raise the females also, that they could compete at the highest level, and then they saw the ratings, and then she delivered. That fight was very dangerous. I think Liz Carmouche took the back, almost choked her out. She came out, and right away again armbar. My brother was saying, it's like, Ronda, we thought you almost died, and then you came in right away armbar again. Like, it was so quick, right? The turnaround. So it was perfect. And they saw, like, good grappler, you know, good jiu-jitsu. Liz Carmouche took her back. Like, you know, she's beatable. Yeah. You know, there's girls out there that are strong. They could compete, and it worked. That was perfect also. That showed that she's a human being, you know. Like, okay, we got to work. And that day I remember after the fight, and because, you know, I was very straightforward with her. I have that personality of saying things like, in front of you, it's okay. If you don't like it, okay. You know, it might be tough on you, but I love you. That's why I'm saying it. And some appreciate it, some don't. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's okay. You know, it's my personality. Just straightforward. And I said, Ronda, promise me nobody will ever take your back again. She said, please, I just won. Could you at least give me one day? Easy. And she felt bad. I said, okay, love, sorry. Today you could party, have fun with your family, but don't do that again to me. Please don't give up your back like that. So after that, she said, I swear to you, nobody's taking my back. And that's what she did, you know. Everybody had a hard time doing that. So that's what a true champion is like. Really learns from the mistakes, you know. I think how you overcome the difficult moments shows the character of a true champion also. Wins, losses could happen. For sure. That's how you overcome that. That's it. That's a champion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd mentioned Buster Douglas, you know, and Mike Tyson. You know, I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan. And,
nice.
And Buster Douglas, nobody could believe it, right? Just him winning, like the way Mike Tyson at the time, right? Yes. He was kind of like Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
And then Ronda Rousey in Australia with Holly Holm, that situation. I feel like it was like very similar, you know, because I think Ronda just knocked out, right?
So Ronda, like that fight, it was like 29 days notice. We weren't. It was supposed to be Robbie Lawler on that fight, and 2 fights already, big fight. She was already resting, and then she had to come back. And the weight we had, like, I swear, 8 hours, like half a pound. Like, there's so much, not excuses, but it's so tough for the body,
was in Australia, right? That's what I like. The Japan, Buster Douglas is in Japan, you know.
Well,
the perfect storm.
It's mental, so much mental, and then we weren't ready for that.
Yeah, and then me, I'm just from the outside, you know, because I'm from New Mexico, so Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn, you know, I was their, like, you know, the first MMA, champ, you know, the king of the cage. So I know, like, Holly Holm had been training for this fight before she even
got called. True.
Before she even did her first MMA fight,
and
right?
They're very smart. I give him credit for the right time, picking up the right fight at the right time, being ready, being prepared.
It was just the perfect storm, perfect storm. The situation.
And listen, lefty against a righty, different fight. Everybody's got to understand that. Southpaw, you know, you don't get that many sparrings with Southpaw. Now we were just talking about having females to train with her.
Right.
The right hand, we couldn't find that much. Left-hander, natural moves like that, boxes like that, so difficult. So 29 days to have prepared. It's her third fight. I swear, dude, couldn't lose 8 pounds, 8 hours, half a pound. I don't know how she did it, but when she gave me the call, she said, this fight they offered, I said, you probably said yes already. Why are you calling me? She said, yes. I said, yes. I said, so basically you're telling me to start camp already, start putting everything together. Because, you know, she always said, I'll be ready to fight the next day. And when she got that call,
and she was so busy too, right? Making movies,
making movies, you know,
very competitive, like fighting all the time.
Too much. That back-to-back fights, drains you at that level. You know, the camps are hard itself already. And yeah, we had a lot of, Mike Dolce was there too. He was saying like very difficult the way he saw the weight loss, everything, and that matters. You know, her legs weren't there. You know, it matters a lot.
Yeah.
You know, people don't see that, but the physical health and how you prepare and mental health is very important.
Yeah.
You know, fighting is the easy part, but how you prepare, how you get in there, very important.
Yeah. Just think all the things like all like came together at that time, you know, like it reminds me just like the Buster Douglas situation, just it being in Japan, another time zone, another everything, you know.
Yeah.
And the perfect storm for that to happen.
Yeah, it's timing. Life is
And
timing.
who
Things
knows what's good and what's bad, right?
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. New champion came in, you know, and the people that are always dominant like that, you know, they fall like that too. You see Mike Tyson, it happens like that too. You know, they're not like point fighters trying to win on decision. That's not their mindset. So when your mindset is always to defeat, you know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's okay. It's part of it. And yeah, but she doesn't matter. Everybody enjoyed watching her until now. You put the fight, you watch it, you will enjoy it. You see that person every second of the round, she's trying to finish the fight. That's beautiful to watch, and that's what we needed.
She finished different ways too, right?
Yeah,
different ways. Not just arm bars, of course, been arm bars, but a lot of arm bars, but different ways.
Yeah, like her
knockouts,
like
everything.
The move she did, the jumping arm bar, she never did that in the gym. She did it against Kat. Like that cartwheel she did on her head, and then man, that was crazy. She did moves that she put it together in that second. I think it's the concept and the years of rolling, you know very well. You might get submissions from angles you've never been there. That's what makes this sport beautiful. Also, is because every day you could learn. You might see somebody doing a movie like, how did that come, and then put it together with what you have, create something different.
Yeah,
and evolves every day. It's beautiful. But when you go back again to the basics, that's what you need to get there anyways. So you still tell the students, please work on these basics because end of the day, to get there, you need this. Please do this again. Right? The foundation, yes. Once you have that, the concept, the foundation, all those will come. That's why you got to go back to the basics again.
Going back in time, right, when you first started teaching and you started your school, you know, to Ronda Rousey and everything in between, what do you love about teaching?
I love to put a smile on people's face. I love it when I see the student doing the right job and me giving them a compliment because they're saying that's what it is. And I don't give a lot of compliments, but I give it when it's the right time. And I love it that person, I make their day happy of what they love to do, what they want to get better on it, and they achieve that. I think that's the most important for me. And then, of course, I love the outcomes, you know, how this helps them in their life, what they could overcome, what I gave them in their life. And just a relationship and communication and advice, you know, what we learn from each other. It's not always about only I'm the teacher, and that relationship. I love spending time with even the young kids. I love teaching the 5-year-old, 4-year-old. It's fun. It's beautiful. And, you know, you see different kids, different personalities, and you know, with the kid, you're a kid. With the adult, you're an adult. So it makes it more beautiful. Life is beautiful like that because you only don't want to be, you know, Edmond, you know, walk, I train champions. No, I could be on the mat sitting with a 3-year-old, 4-year-old showing them a move, and I love it. I love it that the kid is happy that I showed him a good move that he could use or defend himself or, you know, feel good about himself because of that certain situation he learned in life. So I love all of it, I think. And yeah, Ronda used to say, Ronda doesn't didn't teach much and didn't show unless they approached and asked her. And I love that. And then she said, I'm a student. Student has to listen a lot. And the teacher, it's okay if you talk a lot because I'm used to it. My mom talked so much, so you could keep talking. So I talk. She doesn't talk. And she would never try to get out of way to teach. It was interesting. I'd say, Ronda, why don't you so move? She wouldn't. She said, no, I don't want them or anybody that thinks they know it for me to show them, or they think that my way is wrong, or I don't want to get into that conflict. I don't want to get into that situation, and I don't want to teach. I said, why? Show sometimes you know it beautifully. She said, no. If they ask me, I will show. If they don't ask me, I'm not going to show. And I'm a student. A student has to just listen, be quiet, and do what they're told. And if it's not what they want to do, they should still appreciate, still listen, and not use it maybe, but not talk back and say, oh, this is not going to work for me or anything. So she knew what being a student was. And being a teacher, I think, and a coach, you know, some people call it a coach, but I think it's more of a teacher because you're teaching so many different things. It's a way of life. And it's beautiful. And all the styles of, I think, teaching I've learned and coaching, I love like every different styles of coaching, like the Japanese styles from judo, like the counting from karate. I love it because I've had situations with time when you say 1 minute, do this exercise. And in 1 minute, the kid does 5 to 10 movement like this, let's say, right? But when you count to 10, it's going to take you so much less time, and that kid will do at least 8 of them. If not 10, maybe even 11, but at least 7. But when you say 1 minute, do this exercise, let's say bridge, work on your neck, 1 minute or 2 minutes. You could say that to a black belt, high level, that understands, that knows that, oh, that time is very important to keep working. But for a kid or for new development, it's very difficult. But when you count, guarantee you're going to do more. So in 1 hour training, the programs we have, it's beautiful. We could do more than 2-3 hours of work. A lot of people that want to do an experienced coach, yes, a teacher. And I've had situations like that in my gym, that I've had different coaches with, Soviet Union style training, this, but not so much experience with teaching kids and the youth and the new development. And I said, I don't want to offend you, but I'm going to show you a concept that 100% will benefit you and would count. Please count, like what you guys do on the break falls, in Portuguese. It's so important. People don't see that. That's going to make you in 1 hour do so much more instead of keeping time and saying, do it in time. Like shadow boxing. You keep time, 2 minutes, they do it, how many punches they throw. You don't know, very little, but if you give them a count, this is how many we have to reach. I'm keeping. Ronda in the 10th round would throw 575 punches with 2-pound dumbbells. Her neck, her shoulders, like this. Joe Rogan was like, what's happening? It's because the volume and the count. I have a thing in my hand. I count.
Precision,
I'm counting every time she throws the punch, and I see how many. So important with the kids. You don't say 2 minutes, do this. If it's grappling, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, let's go live grappling. That's a different story. But the movements counted. Counted 100%, they'll do more. 1 minute, do this exercise. 1 minute, they're going to do so little. Count for them that 1 minute. Look how much more they do.
Yeah.
So I love like learning that also, the different methods of coaching, and you take it from different sports. It's not important only from, martial arts. It's different coaching. They have different approach to, because now we see that MMA is teamwork also. You need to be so good with communicating, putting a good team together. And, when you learn one-on-one, boxing is more like one person working, and with the team is different. So you have to adapt in all those situations.
Yeah, be able to communicate the different aspects of MMA.
True.
So you've been in the martial arts scene. You're still young. You're still a young guy, right?
Yes,
like
43.
But you've had a lifetime of being in the fight scene, the fight game. So it's what would you like to see
Next.
How would you just even you're known for your legacy,
Yes.
known for you still like I said, you're still a young guy, but just from this point of your life.
Now what I think about is having more champions. Of course, I feel like, sometimes when I was talking to Dana said, man, you had the best in the world, and it's going to be so tough for you. And I thought about what he said. It's frightening sometimes for me to think about that, because I don't want to compare people to how good she did it or how good she trained or their focus, the mindset. but everybody's different. And if I could bring the best out of that person, I think I did my job. You know, if I could get the best out of him in the fight, the best in camp, I think I did my job. So when I do that, I get happy. So, you know, just going to keep doing it. I want to bring the best out of the fighters. I have Melsik on the February card, you know, has a good challenge in front of him. And, you know, he's adapting to MMA. Wrestling's getting better. So we're loving it. But now it's time to really, you know, go hard and just put everything together and believe in yourself more, because he's developed. But again, when you develop, sometimes you're not a pure wrestler from a young age. You're always going to have that little doubt. Who doesn't? You know, so we could overcome that and be ready to compete at the highest level. And, you know, working with different fighters. We got Armenian Tarverdyan, he was by me working on his boxing, and he's got the Islam fight. That's very interesting and very fun. And then putting all my these skills into my son, of course, in soccer. Sometimes I was in Portugal and we were doing they had a competition and they were playing against Benfica, world-class teams. And let's say if they're losing, you know, 2-1 and there's 2 minutes left, I told the coach, why not? Because I was on the coaching list also for stretching them, you know, giving them some confidence and the kids and warm up a little bit. And I said, why don't we have our defense attack too last minute? You know, we have nothing to lose. Even if we lose 3-1, it's okay. It's Benfica, but we gave it our best and we have a chance to tie. She said, that's very smart. I said, it's like fighting, man. You're behind. You got to go for the submission last minute. So I think about all those concepts, try to help him with something small. I'm not a soccer coach and, you know, that's not my passion, but I love watching them and what I could help with what I've learned on the discipline aspect, you know, sleeping on time, preparing before competition, even training, arriving half an hour early, all these things I give to him. I want to see him very successful, God willing, and have a good family. I think we've done our job. I think that's what you look up to also, you know, helping the community, helping your students, but also your direct family, because your daughters look up to you, and it's so exciting. Watching her wrestle, I think that second you're never gonna think about nothing else, no problems, it doesn't matter. That moment is the best moment of your life. That's how I feel when I watch him play. For me, it's like I don't need nothing, just this is already enough for me. I think all of us feel the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Love it.
Alberto, thank you for having me. Happy New Year's, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody, and thank you for always being great, being an example to the youth, always respectful. When we see each other, it's always been love and it's always been appreciation, and it's not about no finances. That's never been in our thing, in our, you know, personality or our culture, because it's more pure, and I love you for everything you do, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for all that you do and have done. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.